Welcome back to the Bite Size Podcast. I'm your host, Lorayne Michaels, and today we are going to be talking about navigating transitions and thriving through a change. So, we all know in life there's changes, there's transitions. In order for us to get from point A to point B, there has to be a transition, there has to be a change. And just like the world and seasons, just like there are seasons, right? There are transitions. So is the same in life. Just really basic, right? When we are born and we're in our infant stages all the way through adulthood and in our last years of life, there are multiple transitions and changes that we go through. Some of them are predictable. Some of them we know are coming. Some of them are sudden. Some of them are brought on by circumstances that we cannot control. And some of them are brought on by our own decisions and our own choices that might not have been good, but we're walking through a transition or a change. And I just keep getting the word that I chose for the year is growth. And this song keeps ringing in my head. It's called New Wine. It's a Christian song. And I, once again, am finding myself in a season of change and a season of transformation. And it is not easy. It is difficult because I want to change and transform and develop into the person that God has called me to be. And I want the same for you, wherever you are, whatever season you are in. My prayer, my hope for you is that you are wanting to continue to develop into the person that you were created to be. And let me give you a little secret. You're never going to become that person fully on this side of heaven. We will never be the full embodied person God intended us to be until we are in heaven. So friend, that should be an encouragement for you because you're going to always be changing and growing, and it should always be for the better as long as you are intentional with it and as long as you don't settle and you don't give up, right? So anyways, the lyrics is profound, I think, to me, and only because I've been in a place of such quietness with God and such intentionality in my prayer time and in my whole spiritual being is me trying to grow closer to God and to really hear from Him and hear that stillness, that small voice that I'm supposed to follow. So the lyrics, they say, in the crushing, in the pressing, you are making new wine. In the soil, I now surrender. You are breaking new ground. So I yield to you into your careful hand. When I trust you, I don't need to understand. Make me your vessel. Make me an offering. Make me whatever you want me to be. I came here with nothing, but all you have given me. Jesus, bring new wine out of me. And I get emotional when I read those lyrics because, again, it is such a beautiful place to be at when you know that you're going through a transition, you know you're going through a change, and you're not resisting it. You are fully walking in it with open hands because you don't want to control it, but you want to see the beauty that God has for you and the path that God has laid before you. And so I kind of want to tie it all together, and I want to really kind of walk you through this. So to the woman that is in a transition, a transitional period, a transitional season in her life right now. To the woman who is ready for change and is ready for the next step that God has for you, this is for you. How do you know that you're in a season of transition? How do you know that you're going through a change, that God is trying to maybe prune you, grow you, or take you to the next level? Here are some things that I have found that when I'm in this season of change or transition or growth, these are the telltale signs that the Lord has shown me. What was once working is no longer working, or you're no longer growing the way you were growing before. So what you were doing before is no longer yielding the results that you once had. You're uncomfortable. You're uneasy, unsettled. Something feels off to you. Maybe your friend groups are changing, or the groups that you were once drawn to or hanging out with no longer feel right or safe, or you're getting this sense that you were made for more and you have an insatiable hunger, a curiosity, a wanting to know what's on the other side. What else is there? And it's not coming from a place of uncontentment. It's not coming from a place of selfishness or you want more. It's more of a hunger for the next thing. You're ready to move on. There might be a silence. There might be an unclear stage, if you will. Like it seems as though the next step is unclear. And this is what some might call the gap, because you're transitioning from one period or stage of your life where you once were and it was working at one point, and now you're going to this next stage, phase, if you will. So that transition may seem mucky, muddy, unclear, and it might be that silence. You don't know what step to take next. And this is why having a relationship with God is so important. That's why I teach in my coaching and, with my keynotes, the pillars that I walk you through, mind, body, spirit. This spiritual pillar that I talk about is so important. And that's healing from your trauma, discovering your dreams, your God-given talents, how God created you, wired you to be, and the importance of prayer and meditation. And why that is so important, why this spiritual pillar is so important, is because if you don't have this, if you don't practice these things, you will not have, it's like the circle won't be complete. You will be missing something. Like one of the legs is missing. You're not steady. You won't be able to function properly without this connection piece with God, with Jesus, with your creator. And so kind of why I've already explained why that pillar is so necessary, why it's important. And I'm trying to stay on track here. I'm trying to make it make sense because I have so much in my mind. So I've written down notes to kind of keep me on track, but it's so easy to go off on a tangent. So when you're healed, the healing portion of this, when you're healed, your central nervous system is regulated. You're able to decipher between your feelings, your thoughts, and emotions when you're healed. And it's so important to make sure that your central nervous system is regulated rather than dysregulated, because if you haven't healed from the trauma and you're dysregulated, then your emotions are all over the place and your reactions and your responses to things are off. They say if it's a big emotion and a big reaction, it's something within you. It's not the instance or the circumstance that has happened, but it's something that's within you, something that is, something that wouldn't necessarily throw you off or, sets you off. And that's because your central nervous system is dysregulated. So making sure that you're healed through the traumas, you're healed through whatever it is, big T trauma, little T trauma, whatever that is, healing through it so that you can function and operate in a regulated state. And so back to this change, this transition, it says in the Bible, Ecclesiastes 3:1-8, it talks about the changes and the seasons and the time of everything. And, I want to read it. It says, "For everything there is a season, a time for every matter under the sun, a time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, and a time to pluck, a time to kill, and a time to heal, a time to break down, a time to build up, a time to weep, and a time to laugh, a time to mourn, and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones, and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek, and a time to lose, a time to keep, and a time to cast away, a time to love, a time to hate, a time for war, and a time for peace." And so there is a time and a season for everything. And so sometimes there is this uncertainty. So I want to make sure that I'm encouraging you in whatever season that you are in, whatever change that you are in, whether it's grief, loss of a loved one, loss of a job, a transition in a job, moving, it's about to be summertime. Kids are going away to college. Kids are out for summer break. Changes in your business. You might be wanting to grow in your business and change. And it might be a time of quietness and stillness in your business and a time of regrouping and reframing, maybe a time for learning. Whatever change or transition you're in, I want to encourage you to embrace it and not to look too far ahead to the next step in your transition, whatever that may be. And I want you to really fully embrace and embody where you are at and to be thankful for where you are at, because God is teaching you something where you are at. And if it's a difficult season, friend, I want you to know that it's just a season and you are going to get out of it. God is going to bring you through it, and God is going to teach you something through it as well. And so I don't want you to miss it. I don't want you to sit in it and sulk. But I want you to be thankful for it, because there's something in this tough season that God is trying to teach you. And I want you to also rejoice that it's just a season and you're going to be getting out of it and going into the next season. Just as if you are in a good season, in a healthy season, in a happy season, right? I want you to still be joyful in that. But I also want you to know that that season will come to an end, and there will be another season of pruning and growing and trials. So again, sit in the season and be thankful for whatever season you're in, but also know there's another season coming. And every season, God is teaching you something in this. Every season, God is pruning you and transforming you into the likeness of His image. And so, the other thing I want to mention about this is embracing the uncertainty with faith. So no matter where you're at, and there's always going to be a different season coming, you don't know what that is and what that's going to bring. But if you embrace that uncertainty with faith, you have this knowing. If you are a person of faith, if you believe in Christ and you have that relationship, Proverbs 3:5-6, it talks about the importance of trusting in God's plan and knowing that God has his best interest for you and for your life. Jeremiah 29:11, for he knows the plans that he has for you, and it's plans to prosper you and to help you, not to hurt you or harm you. So I want to encourage you in that as well, is having a foundation of faith, knowing that God has you. God has your back. God is going to carry you through this, whatever season you're in. And God is with you, rejoicing with you, crying with you. And he's sitting with you in this uncertain time, whatever that is. And also, I want you to be aware and attuned and having this cultivating spirit of resilience and adaptability. Think about the times, because you've made it through your worst time. You have made it through your toughest time, the most uncertain time. You've made it all through it. And so I want you to find that resiliency, that resilient spirit that you have. I want you to find that, that grit, that you've made it through it, and remember that God walked you through it. Another verse I want to tell you is James 1, 2, and 4. And I'm going to pull it up so I can read it, because I do not want to misquote God. So James 1, 2 through 4. Count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds, for you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfast. And let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. Verse 5, it goes on to say, if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives generously to all without reproach, and it will be given to him. But let him ask in faith, with no doubting. For the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea and is driven to and fro, tossed by the wind. For that person must not suppose that he will receive anything from the Lord. He is a double-minded man, unstable in all his ways. So I love that verse, because it's so encouraging to know that if you ask for wisdom, God's going to give it to you. But if you doubt it, he's not going to give it to you, because you don't know which way you're going. You don't know. You're wavering in your faith. So friend, I want you to grab a hold of that faith and know that God is with you, and ask God for the wisdom. If you are in this transition and you are uncertain, one, know that you can count on God, that he is with you. He is for you. He's going to walk you through this, and he's going to teach you and equip you for whatever season that you're in. And two, if it is unclear, having that faith, knowing you're rooted in Christ. And if it is unclear, that if you ask God for wisdom, he will give it to you. He will guide you through it, and knowing that his ways are better than your ways, right? And trust. That's the biggest thing, is trusting, to take the next step in faith and trust that it's going to be the right step, because you asked for the wisdom and you asked for the guidance, and God is not going to let you fall or fail, because he is with you. He is within you. The Holy Spirit indwells within you. And so, friend, whatever season you're in, I want you to take the next step in faith, knowing that God's got your back, knowing that it is a season, and whether you're coming out of a hard one or going into a hard one, it is just a season. And if you're in a joyous season, in a season of just abundance, rejoice in it, be glad in it, and know that a tougher season is coming, but you've made it through them, and you'll make it through this one also. This has been just ironically a hard season for me, because it has been unclear, but it's forced me to get on my face every day. My quiet time has been so beautiful, and I love it, because I'm not rushed. I'm not rushing to get to the hospital. I'm not exhausted from an awful shift, right? I'm surrounded by incredible women right now in a mastermind, and incredible faith-filled women. And I'm just so happy with who I have surrounding me. And it has helped me in this season. Also, and it's a very unclear season. And I want to make sure I'm taking the next steps appropriately for my business and for my family. But this is for you if you are in any type of transition, any type of season of change. And I hope this has encouraged you. You are divinely created for a divine purpose, and there is no mistake in you.